Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight on our news.
There is a new sheriff in town. That's according to Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis.
A jet ski operator and an American tourist face rape charges here in the magistrate's court.
The Foreign Affairs Minister looking to reduce costs in his ministry by cutting back on traveling.
That recently discussed anti-corruption legislation has new details.
Our news is brought to you by Alive, the nation's newest and best LTE network.
Good to be alive.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina McNeil. Topping news tonight, Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis calling himself the new sheriff in town as he insists his administration is hell-bent on stamping out corruption in the public sector. Minnis, who made the comments at the opening of the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce and Employers Confederation National Conclave, says under his watch, lawbreakers will end up in prison. Jasmine Brown reports. Jasmine?
That's right, Christina. The Prime Minister sent out the strong warning as he gave his speech at the Chamber of Commerce's conclave this morning.
Times have changed. A new sheriff is in town.
The thrust of the Free National Movement's campaign in the run-up to the general election was anti-corruption, while promising transparency and accountability if elected to office. Minnis maintained that message today, declaring that the only place wrongdoers will end up is behind bars.
The policy that we have today of transferring corrupt individuals or dishonest individuals from one agency or one department to another will stop.
The Prime Minister told a room full of business leaders that he has had his own personal experiences with corrupt officials early on in his career as a medical doctor trying to establish his own practice. He says based on those hard times, he is determined to stamp out corruption. Minnis insisted that there are many potential business owners and investors who are discouraged from establishing companies in the Bahamas as a result of corrupt practices, particularly in the public sector.
Corruption has cost the Bahamas untold hundreds of millions or more over the decades. Investors should not have the cost of doing business increased by certain officials looking for something. Times have changed.
Now, the Prime Minister's comments come as multiple audits are ongoing in several government agencies. Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown. Christina.
Thanks, Jasmine. Well, a young jet ski operator was charged in the magistrate's court this morning with the rape of a Canadian woman. Giorgio Bain was in court and has the details.
That jet ski operator allegedly responsible for the rape that caused an uproar in the water sports industry faces his day in court. 23-year-old Cleveland Musgrove appeared before Magistrate Andrew Forbes in court number 8, where he was charged with rape. According to police, a Canadian woman alleged that a jet ski operator took her for a ride from Cabbage Beach to a key off Paradise Island, where he allegedly sexually assaulted her. Musgrove was not required to enter a plea. He was denied bail, but Magistrate Forbes informed the Camp Road resident that he could apply for bail in the Supreme Court. Forbes also told Musgrove that his case will proceed by way of voluntary bill of indictment. Musgrove was remanded to the Bahamas Department of Corrections and will return to court for the beginning of his trial on July 25, 2017. In March, the U.S. State Department warned its citizens traveling to the Bahamas against using jet skis. The Ministry of Tourism issued a statement yesterday assuring that efforts have been made to implement stronger management for the water sports industry in recent years, but more must be done. Reporting for our news, I'm Giorgio Bain.
And a 46-year-old American man said to be vacationing in the Bahamas with his wife and other relatives has been remanded to prison after being charged with rape. It is alleged that on Sunday, June 11th, Steve Resnick of Newark, Delaware, sexually assaulted a 27-year-old American woman in a hotel room on Paradise Island. Deputy Chief Magistrate Andrew Forbes asked Resnick if he was able to notify the U.S. Embassy of his arrest. Resnick said yes. He was not required to enter a plea to the charge and was informed that he could apply to the Supreme Court for bail. He returns to court on July 26th, when it is expected that the matter will be fast-tracked to the Supreme Court by a voluntary bill of indictment. And Foreign Affairs Minister Darren Henfield says the previous administration spent a lot of money on unnecessary travel, especially in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. In an effort to cut costs, he insists that a lot of changes are coming to that ministry. Kyle Joaquin tells us more.
Simply put, Mr. Speaker, there are no more free lunches in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
While in opposition, the Free National Movement repeatedly criticized then Foreign Affairs Minister Fred Mitchell's frequent international trips at taxpayers' expense and the size of his delegation. But his successor, Darren Henfield, says the unnecessary traveling and spending has come to an end. For starters, he said meetings that require travel must align with national development and the government's strategic goals.
Individuals in the delegation must have a critical role to play. And we must ensure that Bahamians are getting value for their tax money.
In addition, he said Bahamian government officials don't have to travel to every meeting in every corner of the world. Instead, more video conference calls will be made. Henfield also spoke about the people working in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. A lot of them, he said, aren't qualified to do the jobs they now hold. Henfield said while the ministry has a lot of staff members who are talented and dedicated, he has instructed those at the top to look at each overseas office to make certain determinations regarding the staffing structure.
Further, I have asked for a review to be determined whether staffing in each office hold the necessary skill set and have undergone the prerequisite training to help us obtain our goals and objectives.
He said there needs to be a rotation system in the ministry that gives more people an opportunity. Those with 3 years or more abroad will return home, and other staff in the ministry who meet requirements will be sent, particularly young professionals who have invested time and money in education.
These offices and appointments will no longer be used for the placement of persons who do not even possess the basic educational requirements to be in a foreign service office at the expense of those who've worked hard to qualify themselves for the service. No more.
We reached out to Mitchell, who is now the opposition's shadow minister for foreign affairs, for comment, but he declined. For our news, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Well, Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis has threatened to take back Crown land from those who are not using it for its intended purpose. Minnis, who toured the Lands and Surveys Department this afternoon, says he refuses to allow anyone to hoard the people's land with the intent of using it later on as an investment property. He says the government will do whatever is necessary to ensure Crown land is given to people who deserve it. This as the Prime Minister also addressed employees' working conditions.
As your employee, I must report to you, find out what are the issues, what you want me to do, and I must return so that you can make determination that I am doing what you have directed me to do. It will not be business as usual where you are dictated to by any politician, and don't ever let it happen again.
Minnis told employees that change will not be overnight, but it is coming.
Because it's essential for us to see what working conditions you are working under, and we want to experience firsthand and receive the information from you yourselves as to what are your needs and your desires. As you know, land is wealth, and you play a very, very important role, and it's essential for us to ensure that you have the necessary equipment. We cannot correct everything overnight. So don't expect instant coffee. This is percolating, and it takes time.
In other news, just over a week after Tourism Minister Dionisio de Aguilar revealed that the occupancy level at Baha Mar is under 25%, President of the mega resort Graham Davis says as the project ramps up, so will their marketing strategies aimed at getting more visitors through their doors. Jasmine Brown has more.
The Baha Mar president says he's not surprised by those low occupancy numbers, as he believes the resort is right where they expected it to be.
We're obviously always concerned on low occupancy, but it's where we want to be and growing quickly. We want to make sure, again, that we get our staff fully trained, providing exceptional experience, which we are today.
The mega resort had its soft opening on April 21st, and since then, occupancy levels have remained low. Outside Cabinet last week Tuesday, D'Aguilar suggested that the below 25% occupancy rate was due to the premature opening of the resort. But Davis says despite those low numbers, everything is progressing as expected. On the upside, he says the hotel is experiencing positive feedback from guests.
And the feedback you read online from reviews, and certainly the guest feedback that we have when they depart, is that they're very excited about their experience that they've had, and many of them are already rebooking to come back again in the future. So we're right where we want to be. We're certainly making sure that we thoughtfully open.
Davis was also asked about claims by Atlanta's executives who accused Baha Mar of fishing in their pond.
We certainly want to grow the market. I think that's best for the Bahamas, is to ensure that we're growing the market and focusing on new markets together. We've had some conversations, obviously, with airlines out there. We've met with Southwest Airlines. JetBlue is certainly taking place as we speak. We've met with United. We want to grow the market together, and I think as we continue our marketing efforts and spend millions in marketing dollars, both Atlantis and ourselves, we're confident that we're going to keep growing this market.
In regards to future plans for the resort, Davis said this.
We've been extremely busy and very excited to announce that our SLS is on track for opening this fall. We're very, very busy on onboarding right now. We're well over 2,000 associates and busily ramping up for our SLS opening that'll be here in the fall.
Reporting for our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Still to come on our news, government steps up efforts to crack down on shanty towns. That and more when our news comes back.